Yo is determined to talk to him today. Nothing will happen as long as she hesitates. It'll only prolong her suffering. The time has come to show courage once again. Yo's first period on Thursday is biology. This is her one chance to see Fumonori. As her required course with many students, the lecture is held in a large hall that can seat well over 200 people. But since it's usually only half full, it's rarely difficult for Yo to find a seat where she wants. Yo prefers to sit near the center, where it's easiest to hear the professor. Most of the students congregate in this area for the same reason. Fumonori usually sits behind her, although given the ambiguous state of the relationship, she knows better than to take this for granted. Still, she tries to save a seat whenever possible. The classroom isn't crowded today, so Yo is able to set her bag on the seat next to her without inconveniencing anyone. But when the professor arrives at the usual time to start class, there's still no sign of Fumonori. After waiting for about 10 minutes, Yo scans the room furtively. Fumonori is there, sitting alone in the far back corner. Did he miss Yo when he came in? No, he couldn't have. And besides, no serious student would willingly sit so far away from the front. Feeling miserable, Yo slides her bag back over to herself. Fumonori is out the door the moment class ends, and Yo barely manages to catch up to him before he disappears down the hallway. Fumonori! Fumonori jerks at the sound of his name. You would think she just screamed at him. What? He turns to her and asks reluctantly. Now that they are face to face, Yo is painfully aware of how much weight Fumonori has lost. His sunken eyes and protruding cheekbones are a far cry from the features familiar to her. She wonders whether he's under a lot of stress or perhaps he's not getting enough nutrition. Maybe it's both. Man, he's just super pissed off. He definitely looks more tense than he should. Afraid even, though of what she can't imagine. His eyes move restlessly from point to point, and he refuses to look Yo in the eye. It hurts to see Fumonori this way. What could have changed him so? Today she reminds herself, rekindling the flame of courage in her heart. Listen, I want to talk to you about something. Do you have time? The courtyard is empty and silent. No one is willing to sit and chat in the cold November air. So, what is it? Don't you remember? Yo almost blurts out the question, but manages to keep her composure. You've been acting strange lately, and I'm worried about you. Well, a lot's happened. He smiles like it's nothing, but even that seems stiff and forced. He's even standing precisely one pace farther away from her than he used to. Is that really all? What more do you want? Yo manages to keep from flinching at the harshness of his tone. It's like you're struggling with something. Maybe you're seeing, I don't know, crazy flesh monsters and interdimensional lollies. Rather than answer, Fumonori grinds his toe into the dead grass at his feet. Fearing that her determination might flag, Yo lets the words come as they may. It's like there's a terrible weight on your shoulders, and it's slowly breaking you. That's how you look to me. Oh, really? Fumonori mutters through clenched teeth, no longer trying to deny it or change the topic. This is an even clearer signal of rejection than his prior evasiveness. But Yo's determination is strong. Today, at least, she won't back down. It's times like these, she implores, trying to convey the sincerity of her feelings for him, that you need your friends. I feel really bad about your parents, but you're not alone. You have Koji and Nomi, and you have me. You know, I understand what you're looking at is a monster, but at the end of the day, dude, they're still your best friends, and they really care about you. Like, granted, I totally tell my best buddy if I was seeing crazy flesh monsters and shit, and he'd be like, oh damn dude, we need to go get you patched up. And then me and my flesh monster buddies would go down to the hospital. I mean, that's just, you know, normal thought process for me though. Then again, I'd probably wake up and shit my pants seeing the like hellish landscape this guy does all the time. Yo can no longer stop the words pouring from her lips. She fears that if she does not unleash the feelings pent up inside her, that they'll be lost forever. I think we can help you, so you don't have to deal with it all by yourself. Even if we can't do anything, just talking to us might make you feel better. I want to help you. We all do. So please, tell me. Stop it, Fumonori shouts, silencing Yo's entreaty. She promised herself that she wouldn't back down, but Fumonori's expression is terrible enough to shatter her resolve. The look in his eye is not anger, or any other warm blood and emotion. It is hate. Murderously cold hate. Come to think of it, I never gave you an answer, did I? He remembers. He remembers, yet still he has treated her so coldly. Has all the answers she needs. If his words stab any deeper, she very well might die. I never saw you in any special way before. When you asked me out, I wasn't sure how to respond. I didn't know how I really felt about you then. Jesus, dude. Fumonori. But now I can give you an answer. I've had plenty of time to think it over, you know. I hate you, Tsukuba. I don't even want to look at you. Jesus Christ, dude. Are you serious? Like, you're just a gigantic asshole. It's still a person. You're just having hallucinations. And, I mean, the bottom line is you realize that you're crazy, which in turn makes you not crazy. You're just seeing hallucinate. This guy's just a dick. But, I don't know. Maybe it's like Phineas Gage and he's completely lost it too. You know, emotionally. Don't cry, Yo tells herself, but too late to stop the tears pouring from her eyes. I suppose it's too much to hope I never see you again. We do go to the same school. So just make this the last time you speak to me, okay? Your voice makes me sick. How can you be so cruel? Yo whispers in shock and despair. Seriously, dude, you are just a gigantic asshole right now. To which Fumonori twists his lips into a malevolent smile. You should really try thinking for yourself once in a while. I bet you were just egged on by Helmi and Koji, weren't you? Well, you can play and love all you want, but leave me out of it. That's all Yo can take. Even after shedding tears in front of him, she absolutely refuses to let him hear her cry. Any disgrace would be preferable to breaking down here. So she runs, fleeing breathlessly from the courtyard with Fumonori's cold smile at her back. Jesus, dude, you're the real fucking monster. I mean, even if these things were just absolute bastardized versions of people, they're still trying to be nice to you. I understand in the beginning shock would be something, but they're still kind, you know? They're still nice creatures. It just means you're just an asshole. Homie was the first to catch sight of Yo and Fumonori, leaving the courtyard. Reluctant to interrupt them, but still unwilling to leave them alone, Koji and Homie ended up watching the whole thing from the shadows. An asshole. Through the exchange, Homie was clearly itching to jump out and punch Fumonori in the face. Knowing her temper, Koji got firm hold of her arm until the end. If he hadn't, she might have very well done it. And he fucking deserves it, too. Like 100% deserves an ass kicking. Fumonori leaves Yo, his every step seeming to take an act of willpower. Koji sighs heavily into the once more cold, empty courtyard, but the bitter taste in his mouth won't go away. What's wrong with him? Even Koji can't forgive Fumonori's treatment of Yo. However, the first thing he feels is confusion and not anger. Koji's known Fumonori since long before college, and Fumonori was never this cruel before. There's no question that the accident changed him. Are you just gonna let this go, Koji? I don't want to, but what can we do? Something besides watch, Homie shouts, her face red with fury. I won't be satisfied until I give him a piece of my mind. I won't make Tsukaba feel any better. But it'll make me feel better. Holy Christ, I was literally just about to say, yeah, but it makes her feel better. Nice, me and Homie are on the same page. Right on. Yo and Homie are best friends, just like Koji and Fumonori. In fact, it was the relationship between Koji and Homie that brought the other two together. Homie's anger is only natural. I'm gonna talk to him alone. You don't have to come. You serious? Take care of Yo for me, will you? She's probably really hurt. She'll need someone to be nice to her after she's done crying. Wait, shouldn't we just switch jobs? You know how I am. If I try to comfort her, I'll end up making it worse. Yeah, you got a point. Hey. Anyway, just go easy, okay? Somehow, I don't think she's gonna go easy on her dude. Or him. Ending the conversation before Homie's mood gets any worse, Koji heads off to find Yo. I feel awful, miserable, but also refreshed. I've finally crossed the line. I knew it would come crashing down like this sooner or later, having become unable to feel anything but disgust for other people. There was no way I could hope to maintain the relationships I'd had before the accident. Today's incident will definitely get back to Koji and Homie, and everyone will be convinced I've had a major change of character. Honestly, I don't care anymore. At least I probably won't be committed for this. I just need to avoid acting any stranger than I already have. If this puts a rift between me and the others, good. The thought of all the stress I'll avoid brings a smile to my lips. I'm fed up with them, sticking their noses into my life. It's like they don't care that they make my gut turn just by being near me. I've been terrified of them until now, but today I struck fear into one of them. In that sense, it's something of a relief, but I'm not entirely without remorse for what happened. The person I just demolished with the verbal equivalent of a nuclear bomb used to be my friend Yo. Even if my senses don't believe it, my mind accepts the theory. I don't have any particular grudge against Yo herself, and I didn't want to hurt her. In retrospect, perhaps I should have just ignored her outright. Yo was an attractive girl, and I certainly didn't think badly of her. To be honest though, I was annoyed when Koji and Homie tried to stick us together. I felt like they were toying with me, and Yo seemed totally oblivious to the fact that she was dancing to their tune. Her cluelessness was irritating. Wow, fuck your friends for trying to hook you up. Like, Jesus, dude. I'm starting to see that you're just kind of a dick to begin with. And in the beginning, spineless one too. Like, goddamn, dude, like, hey, check out. Look, there's this cute girl. She likes you, dude. How would you guys hook together? I don't want to be you dancing to your tune, dude. Like, fuck, man. Alright, whatever. Still, I knew that none of them meant any harm. Back then, I didn't have any reason to hurt others just to get my way. If having a casual relationship with Yo would keep our circle of friends together, I was willing to make that compromise. Now, however, there is no room in my heart for such forbearance. Really talking to someone is an ordeal, and how can I be expected to show them kindness? These ruminations have left me exhausted, and I want to return to Saya as soon as possible. But thinking about the packed trains and crowded downtown streets between here and home saps my spirit. Catching sight of a nearby bench, I sit down and close my eyes to the horror of the world. I can't do anything about the stink or the noise, but at least I can calm my nerves enough to rest. When I regained consciousness in the T University hospital ward, the world was as dark as it is now. I had not yet recovered my sight, even though my eyes and optical nerves were undamaged. It must have been an after effect of the accident. Yeah, who would have guessed? Being in a car crash and just jostling your brain around is gonna cause blindness for a short period of time. Blindness was a shock, but now I know that my suffering then was nothing. After all, my senses of hearing, touch, taste, and smell were all fine at the time. The real horror began when my sight returned. One small mercy was I was able to come to terms with the accident, and my neurosurgery was while I was still blind. I panicked when I first saw the nightmarish hospital, the blood-curdling shapes of the doctors and nurses. I soon guessed the cause. It chills me to think of what might happen if I had recovered my sight along with my consciousness, suddenly awakening in what can only be described as hell. I would no doubt have lost my mind instantly. Soon my disorder spread to the senses of touch, taste, and smell. As it turns out, sight exerts tremendous influence over the other four senses. The taste of my food, the feel of my bedsheets, the fragrance of my get well flowers, all became as unbearably foul as my eyes said they should be. Eventually, when the doctor's voices become unrecognizable as human, I decided to kill myself. I didn't believe for a second that I could live in this new world. At least, not until I met Saya. One night, while thinking of a painless way to die, I found myself succumbing to sleep. Drifting between the nightmares of my dreams and the nightmare of reality, I didn't notice her enter my room. Oh, yeah. Hey, welcome to hell. Let's just look at this face. Look at that face. That is a face that is not foreboding good intentions. The next thing I knew, there was a face staring down at me from the next to my bed. The face was not covered in pus or slime or earthworm-like feelers. It had smooth white cheeks, round eyes, a lovely little nose. All things I had never expected to see again. The face was that of a girl, undeniably human and positively glowing with beauty. I sighed in admiration, savoring the first peace and joy since regaining my sight. She had not expected such a reaction, apparently. Aren't you afraid of me? She asked, looking at the clock. I saw that it was exactly 3 in the morning. No time for a young girl to be alone in the hospital. Perhaps she expected me to mistake her for a ghost. So that right there, aren't you afraid of me, means there is something seriously fucked up with her actual appearance. I'm gonna assume that she's actually grotesque and we just kind of mirrored everything. Everything's flipped, like everything that's normal looks completely jacked up and she's actually really messed up in reality. Either way, she was a godsend. Who are you? What are you doing here? I'm Saya. I'm looking for my dad. I assumed that she was the daughter of a late shift doctor or another patient. It was unusual, but not unthinkable for such a girl to be wandering around the hospital. It's no fun if you're not scared. Wait, I cried, desperate to keep her from leaving. It was only after she turned around that I realized I hadn't thought of what to say next. Well, her beautiful eyes drew me in, healing my soul to its core. Through the white haze clouding my mind, I struggled to form a coherent sentence. I shouldn't do this to a girl, but you're the only one I can ask. No longer concerned with propriety, I let the words come as they willed. Will you let me hold your hand? Saya looked confused at first, but then she smiled like she just found her new toy. Her smile was brighter than my memories of the sun. You're strange, she said, holding out her slender white hand. No one's asked me anything like that before. Ever so carefully, as though catching snowflakes, I placed my palm against hers. I could feel her human warmth and the softness of her delicate fingers. She was there, just beyond the palm of my hand. Thinking back on the joyful tears I shed then, I know that this was the moment I was saved from my fate. This is the first time in weeks that I've touched someone and felt them as human. I can't touch anyone else. I was in an accident, and as a side effect of the surgery, I can't see people as human anymore. How mysterious. You're interesting, she said, winding her fingers tightly around mine. Can I come back tomorrow night? Yeah, of course, but isn't it dangerous? Don't worry, she replied. The night belongs to me. Yeah, she is not a good thing. I don't know what it is, but it's not a little girl. And so our rendezvous began. And it just reminded me, this is like several hours after like recording the first part. I just remembered that the main character like had a sex scene with her. You fucked an underage monster. I want you to think about how screwed up that is on so many different levels. Saya came to my room every night at 3 a.m., skillfully taking advantage of the duty nurse's shift change. I was astonished to learn that she was living inside the hospital. It's so big that I never run out of places to hide, she said, answering my surprise with a nonchalant smile. She had been living in the suburbs with her father, she told me, until one day he suddenly stopped coming home. After she had tired of waiting for his return, Saya had decided one night to sneak into the hospital where he worked, and there she lived for over 2 months, searching for his whereabouts all the while. Don't you go to school? Nah, Dad taught me everything I need to know. I'm really smart. Apparently. She was a strange girl. On one hand, she looked and talked like an innocent child. On the other hand, she was remarkably self-reliant, and at times exhibited a sharp intelligence and a deep knowledge that many may have found unsettling. Almost otherworldly, main character? I didn't scare. Saya was the only other human in the world gone mad. Her existence meant far more to me than the standards of society. Aren't you worried you might get caught? Nope, I don't have to worry about food here. It's a lot more fun than staying in Dad's house by myself. I looked through the patient list and found the ones who have mental problems. Saya continued, grinning mischievously. Sometimes I sneak into their rooms late at night and scare them. Even if they raise a fuss, no one believes what mental patients say. Okay, so you and him are perfect for each other, complete dickheads. They just brush it off as a bad dream. Her confusion reminded me that the hospital is famous for ghost stories. Who would have imagined that there was actually a real girl ambitiously roaming these hallways? So that's why you came to my room the first time. Yeah, sorry, are you mad? All her pranks were hardly praiseworthy. I couldn't bring myself to scold her for the very thing that had brought us together. You shouldn't do it anymore. Will you come talk to me instead? Yeah, that's more fun for me too. Oh, that's nice. Let me... You look so happy, covered in your liver and guts. With extreme care, I was able to conceal my sensory disorder. It was glaringly obvious that the doctors had no way to cure me, and the fact that I had undergone a still experimental procedure made me even more cautious. As a medical student, it was easy for me to imagine how the doctors would react if they discovered that I was exhibiting such unusual side effects. I was not about to become a guinea pig, a mere specimen to examine with clinical detachment. So I hid my discomfort and loathing behind a mask of normalcy, convincing the doctors that any signs of stress were merely a result of hospitalization. Saya was my support. Looking forward to her nightly visits gave me the strength to endure my daily torture. Hope I can make an enormous difference in a patient's progress with the aid of the secret with the aid of my secret nurse. I recovered a place that left the doctor stunned. On the last night before my release, I summoned my courage and asked her, "Are you gonna stay here forever?" Yeah, I couldn't learn anything about my dad, but it's not like I have anywhere else to go. I guess I'll stay here as long as I can hide. In other words, she had no reason to stay. Why not stay with me? I asked timidly. The question took all the courage I had. Huh. My family's gone, so I have plenty of room. You won't need to hide, and it's not a bad place to live. You want me to live with you? I was too afraid to ask her what she thought of that, so I hastily offered a deal. In exchange, I'll help you look for your father. I'll find him no matter what. I think that's gonna be hard, Saya said, looking a little embarrassed. Dad probably did something bad and had to leave the hospital. We can't get the police involved. He'll have to be as discreet as possible. I'll do whatever it takes. I'm unable to control myself. I finally spoke the truth. I can't be apart from you. At first she looked bewildered, but after a few moments of silence, she said, "Give me a little time." That night she left my room earlier than usual. On the day of my release, I managed to smile as I accepted the hideous, foul-smelling celebratory bouquet. The flesh beasts calling themselves Koji, Homie, and Yo came to pick me up. Though they had come to see me many times during my stay, it never got any easier to see my friends change so horribly. My sudden tears of despair drew suspicion, but I managed to explain them away as tears of joy. While we walked to Koji's car, I looked desperately for Saya amid the grotesque scenery. Even as we drove away, I kept watching the hospital fade in the distance, praying for a last glimmer of hope. But Saya never appeared. After Koji and the others dropped me off, I paused a while to regard my surroundings. I'd lived my entire life on this block, in this house. There was no other place that I could call home. But nothing was as I remembered. As I walked up to the path to the front door and took in the yard where I'd spent my childhood, I could feel those memories being defiled by the twisted, festering shapes around me. Inside the house, I found nothing familiar, nothing to offer me comfort and warmth. What I had once called home was now a whole other world. I have no home, I whispered with a smile of self-pity. There is one last stop to make, one last nail to hammer into my coffin. I stepped into the room that had cradled me from childhood. The walls were papered with human entrails, the bed a tangled mess of warm flesh. But none of that mattered. There, curled up on the bed like an abandoned cat, was Saya. As I stood there in shock, she looked up at me and a tiny, weak voice said, "Can I really stay?" I responded by sweeping her into my arms, embracing her tightly so that she would not escape. Saya didn't resist. When she arrived at the Saki house, Homie first takes a deep breath to calm herself. Her anger doesn't vanish entirely, of course, but at least now she can hear herself think. While waiting for a response from the intercom, she looks over the patch of yard that she can see from the outside the gate. Even Omi isn't normally one to complain about other people's housekeeping, but this is going too far. The grass is growing wild, and there are piles of dead leaves scattered everywhere. It doesn't look just untended. It looks like an uninhabited ruin. It's still light out, but every window has its storm shutters tightly sealed. Homie guesses that they've been closed since morning. What kind of life is Fumonori leading? Even if he's living alone, he can't neglect his housework forever. That's where you're wrong, kiddo. I'm sorry. I'm actually incredibly neat, like almost serial killer neat. It's absolutely crazy. It's just in her imagination, or does something stink like rotten meat? It couldn't be coming from the yard, could it? There's still no response, so she presses the buzzer a second time, a third, and a fourth. Finally, after this has gone on for over 10 minutes, Homie loses her patience and opens the cover of the intercom. As she expected, the power had been disconnected. Perhaps Fumonori has a good reason for shutting out the world, but Omi can only see it as a lack of respect for others. Her anger rekindled, she pushes the gate open and stops through the yard to the front door. This is a huge house. I didn't notice how big it was until just now when it's not covered in guts. Given the state of the intercom, she doubts that Fumonori will respond to a knock, so Omi decides to simply open the door and go in shouting. And if the door is locked, she'll just have to. Surprisingly, the doorknob turns easily in her hand, and the enraged Omi finds herself throwing the door open wider than intended. Holy shit, dude. This is not good. This is a really good way to get killed, in any situation. Her nostrils are instantly assaulted by a choking stench. What is that smell? As Homie stands petrified on the threshold, the cowbell hanging on the inside of the door chimes loudly. A moment later. Welcome home. Homie can't believe her ears. The voice she just heard could not have been human. Its intonations were too complex for any animal she can imagine. Is someone there? She calls out to the end of the hallway from which the voice came. There's no response. Instead, she hears the sound of something soft and wet flopping its way deeper into the house. Finding it difficult to place a meaningful image to the voice she just heard, Homie stares blankly at the empty vestibule. There's nothing there, not even Fumonori's shoes, which can only mean that he's still outside somewhere, wearing them. The house should be empty, but then what was that voice just now? Her anger has vanished as if it were never there. Nevertheless, Omi sets foot in the hallway, leaving the door wide open so that the cowbell will ring. The floor creaks, setting her nerves on edge. Omi herself isn't sure why she's acting like a burglar, but something tells her to make as little noise as possible. The potency of the stink inside the house makes the whiff she caught outside pale in comparison. It's sickening, like rotten fish guts. Has food been left to spoil in the kitchen? She hears a bubbling sound up ahead. Stepping gingerly on the creaking floorboards, Homie makes her way to the end of the hallway. She finds rooms to both sides of her, one lit, the other dark. She chooses to look in the lit room. It's the kitchen. Lit but must be by what must be the only house in the only window in the house not covered by a storm shutter. She heard the... Oops, hold on, sorry. Okay, sorry about that. I thought I heard someone at the door. The sound she heard was the pot boiling on the stove, and on the chopping board next to it lie a butcher's knife and some half-diced carrots. A perfectly normal household scene. But with the light of the unsettling sun, makes everything the color of decomposing fruit. Something is wrong. Who was cooking here, and why did they go? Is anyone here? Oni calls, regretting immediately as she realizes that her voice is shaking. As her words echo vainly through the silent house, she begins to feel foolish and defenseless. Suddenly, she feels something cold seeping through her pantyhose. She timidly reaches down to touch her feet. Her fingertips come away covered with a viscous olive green slime, like the filthy water from a tank clogged with algae and dead fish. The whole floor is covered with it. It must be the source of the stench. Homie now wishes that she had worn her shoes inside. Manners be damned. When she looks back ruefully the way she came, she realizes that her current position is not visible from the entrance. This kitchen must be where the strange voice came from. The next room is probably the den. As she expected from the closed storm shutters, it's pitch black inside. Homie wants nothing more than to flee this house, but that would mean turning her back to the darkness, and that she simply cannot bring herself to do. Moved by some irrational compulsion, Homie sets foot in the den. It's too dark to see anything, and the stink is far worse than before. She slides her hand along the wall, feeling for the light switch, finding it much sooner than she expected. She flips it on like it's her last hope. Colors. Colors. So many colors. The purple of entrails, the brown of rotten meat, the crimson of fresh blood, and the yellow of fat. These colors, and more that cannot be described, cover every inch of the room in a maddening array. The colors say all that needs to be said about the painter's hatred, malice, and insanity. Homie's legs give out from the shock, sending her to the floor. Slime immediately soaks through her jeans, its cold tendrils creeping up her legs, crotch, and her neck. Her hand flies to her neck, where it's greeted by another drop of chilly slime. Above her, something is dripping down on her head. Making perhaps the worst decision of her life, Homie looks up. The predator clinging to the ceiling, poised to leap upon its prey. She sees it in every detail. Her mouth and nose are sealed before she can scream, and her belly is torn open as something enters to feast on her innards. But by the time she feels any of this, Homie has already gone mad. What the fuck is Saya? I bit the bullet and tried to take the train, but the rush hour crowds were so bad that I had to get off halfway and walk. I'm running pretty late. Is Saya worried? I hope she's not mad. When I enter the yard, I realize that the front door has been left wide open. Light from the living room is seeping out into the hallway, and I hear what sounds like someone smacking their lips. There's also a tantalizing fragrance in the air. Is it Saya? I consider calling out to her, but decide to enter in silence instead. Something smells strange, though not unpleasant. The aroma is quite soothing, in fact. It reminds me of Saya's hair. At first, I'm surprised by what I see in the living room. The floor is covered with what looks to be some kind of grass, probably the source of the herbal-like smell. And there are fruit or vegetable-like balls of varying sizes scattered everywhere. Saya. Saya turns around, her eyes wide with surprise. She then looks away sheepishly, like a child caught at some prank. What are you eating? This is... Oh, well, she stammers out so flustered that I suddenly feel bad for sneaking up on her. Remembering that she's never eaten in front of me before, I realize that she must be quite embarrassed. Can I have one? I scoop up the closest fruit thing and plop it in my mouth, ignoring Saya's attempt to wave me off. It has a strange texture, soft and pliable, like a peach or a pear. When I bite into it with my back teeth, a succulent juice fills my mouth, combined with a sharp, strong fragrance. It's unlike anything I've ever tasted. How did you make this? What did you use? It wasn't hard. I just took it apart and melted it a little to make it easier to eat. It's practically raw. Oh. I pick up a different lump. This one consisting of fruity flesh around the hard core. Tearing the chunk off in my mouth, I find that has a similar taste to the last one. Hey, are you okay? That's a... Yeah, even I can eat this. In fact, it's good. Really? At first, Saya looks dumbstruck, but then she bursts out laughing. So this is what you like. Now I feel stupid for going to all that trouble. Is this what you always eat, Saya? Yeah, I thought it would be a while since I had a big one. I usually catch them in the nearby park. There's an impressive nature preserve not too far from here. I've never heard of fruits like these growing out there, but, well, of course. They only look like fruits to me. They're really something else. Sorry, I already had the best parts. That's okay. There's always next time. Now we can eat together. Yeah. Saya seems really happy. I'm happy too, of course. Eating with someone is much more fun than eating alone. It makes the food taste better too. There's still plenty left. He'll keep chilled for 2 or 3 days, though it won't taste as good. Then we better start putting it away. Sealing the small fruits in Tupperware and the large ones in pots and bowls, Saya and I store the remaining food in the refrigerator. Thinking of tomorrow's dinner fills me with anticipation. I feel that, little by little, I'm starting to regain the joy of living. Saya will guide me. With her, I can live on. True Scary Stories, Hospital Edition. Chapter 4, The Monster in the University Hospital. A research student relates to a shocking experience at Tokyo's most prestigious hospital. Will you believe him or not? Strange things started happening at the hospital around the end of the last spring. It began with patients walking up in the middle of the night, screaming. They all spoke of terrifying nightmares, and many of them had to be sedated. Some patients even transferred to other hospitals because of it. The weird thing is that they'd all had exactly the same dream. A dream about some horribly disgusting monster staring down at them from their bedside. But the really strange stuff started happening after that. There used to be a lot of stray cats around campus, looking for scraps from the students. But one day the cats suddenly disappeared, and it wasn't that they'd stopped coming. It was more like they'd vanished from the area entirely. And then people stopped walking their dogs around. According to the rumors, the dogs were refusing to go anywhere near the school. Eventually, things started going missing in the hospital. Organs, to be precise. Transplant organs kept disappearing from storage. People came close to losing their jobs over it. And it wasn't just 2 or 3 times that it happened. They tried to keep it from the research students, but we heard that it was a lot worse than that. People started saying that there was something living in the hospital. The janitors would find strange messes that could only have been made in the middle of the night, traces of something that had crawled down the hallway, or weird stains that seemed to be caused by something dripping through the ceiling. Late shift nurses talked about hearing strange noises on the same nights that patients woke screaming. There's one last story, one you can never mention inside the hospital. One day, I cannot pronounce that, obstetrics department went crazy. They said that a newborn had disappeared in the night. If that were true, the police would have come and it would have been all over the news, but they say the big shots managed to make it all go away. It's just a rumor, of course. These strange incidents suddenly stopped towards the end of summer. Now there are almost no patients complaining of nightmares, and the cats have started coming back to campus. But still, what happened in the hospital that summer? Even now, just thinking about it gives me the creeps. Nothing. This is the 3rd day in a row that they haven't been able to get in touch with Omi. There's no sign that she returned to her apartment, and even her family doesn't know anything. Her parents have already filed a missing persons report. Well, you know her. She probably just popped up somewhere like nothing happened. I hope so, Yo replies with a gloomy expression. She's worried about Omi, of course. But the incident with Fumonori 3 days ago must still be weighing on her mind as well. I don't think Yo has the right idea. Like, honestly, if you got turned down pretty hard by someone that's just a dick, that's one thing. But you're still dwelling on it after your best friend is missing. You know, after she obviously went to go tear your crazy ex-boy toy thing like a new asshole. 4 people used to meet in this cafeteria between classes, but now there's only 2. Hey, Koji, let's keep thinking. Isn't there somewhere Omi might have gone? Like Okay, you guys are kind of thick. No, Koji answers evasively. I already checked everywhere. Are you serious right now, Koji? Like, your fucking girlfriend is dead. Like, you know where she is. Why are you not going to go see her? It's a lie, of course. Koji knows where Omi planned to go that evening, but he doesn't want to bring Fumonori up in front of Yo. Her awkward silence is mercifully broken by the bell, signaling the start of a next period. Sorry guys, I've been reading for the last hour, so I'm starting to stumble over my words. Well, I've gotta go. Yeah. If Koji isn't mistaken, Yo is supposed to have class next period too, but she just sits there, staring off into space. Unable to come up with anything to say, he leaves the cafeteria reluctantly. Both Omi's disappearance and Yo's depression worry Koji, and both problems lead back to the exact same place. The hell is Fumonori doing? When Omi went missing, the first thing he did was question Fumonori. After all, the last time he'd seen her was just before she stormed off to give Fumonori a piece of her mind. Okay, so he totally 100% confronted him. Where the fuck's my girlfriend, dude? Fumonori responded with unequivocal denial and acted like he hadn't the slightest idea why Omi would have gone to see him. Perhaps that was only natural, as he was unaware that Omi and Koji had witnessed him to reduce Yo's to tears. To be fair, Fumonori probably doesn't realize that whatever he was eating was Yo, or not Yo, Omi. So I guess he really didn't know. Did Omi even make it to Fumonori's house? She had been riding a wave of emotion when she left, and might have calmed down and changed her mind halfway there. Or perhaps she ran into trouble on the way. Koji concluded, or more accurately convinced himself, that one of these possibilities was the truth, subconsciously denying the one remaining possibility. That Fumonori was lying, that he had met Omi and was involved with her disappearance. When questioned by the police, Koji told the truth about Omi's destination only up to the train station, maintaining that he had no idea where she planned to go after that. He wanted to cooperate with the search, of course, but Omi couldn't have made it to Fumonori's house. Fumonori said so himself, didn't he? In that case, he told the police everything they needed to know. Koji, you might be borderline retarded. Or naive. Well, probably a little bit from column A and a little bit from column B. Not wanting to get the still fragile Fumonori involved, he forced himself to accept this flimsy logic. But the conflict has built up inside of him without his notice, leaving unanswered suspicion to fester in his mind. Koji is deep in thought, paying no attention to his surroundings, but perhaps that is what allows him to catch sight of his best friend's back through the crowd of milling students. Fumonori. At first, Koji assumes that he's headed off into the lecture hall, but it soon appears that he is instead going home. Strange. Medical students have required courses in the afternoon. Though he's initially surprised, Koji's hesitation lasts for only a second. He follows his friend, taking care to stay far away enough behind that he won't be followed or noticed. Fumonori wasn't going home, as became obvious when he boarded the train heading in the opposite direction. Koji's next guess was he was going to see his doctor at the T University Hospital, but Fumonori rode straight through the closest station. Where is he going? At first, Koji felt ashamed for telling his friend like this, but the conscience fell silent as Fumonori's actions grew more mysterious. The stranger it gets, the closer Koji feels to discovering the truth behind Fumonori's sudden transformation. Any knowledge would be welcome, no matter how slight. Even Koji is beginning to think that there must be more behind Fumonori's change than the accident alone. He wants a more satisfying answer, one that will help him decide whether Fumonori can still be trusted. Fumonori gets off at the station in a nondescript suburb of Tokyo. Koji follows, trying not to lose sight of him amid the other disembarking passengers. The area is quiet. The area is quite desolate, with only a small bookstore, a convenience store, and a market in front of the train station. It's easy for Koji to keep Fumonori in view. This neighborhood was carved out of the Fuji foothills, and here there remain steep inclines and wooded areas that escape assimilation. Koji is amazed that such a quiet place exists in less than an hour out of the central Tokyo. Fumonori seems to know these streets. He quickly and purposefully through the suburban community. He moves quickly and purposely through the suburban community, his eyes fixed straight ahead. And with that, I'm going to take a break. I'm stumbling all over my words. So, this is super weird because I've never actually just kind of say, hey, this is when the episode starts. So, cue the intro music. Wait, outro music. Cue that one, not the intro. There is no intro music. Go.
I feel it coming out my throat. Guess I better wash my mouth out with soap. God, I wish I never spoke. Now I gotta wash my mouth out with soap. I feel it coming out my throat. Guess I better wash my mouth out with soap. God, I wish I never spoke. Now I gotta wash my mouth out with soap.